Hey, Seth. Hey, Mariah.
Hi.
It's good to see you again.
Why, Pat? It's good to see you, sir.
Great to see you.
Thanks. You know what we talked about today in the episode of how to be a movie snob?
No.
What?
What? No, tell us more.
I mean, you should have known because you were there, but we talked about Killers of the Flower Moon,
Was
which
I
has
there?
been nominated for so many things and won some of them already, and is part of our lead up to the Oscars. And, we got into, what do we get into? We got into historical context, we got into cameras, and we got into how much white guilt we all felt after watching this movie.
That's all we got.
Deserved or not.
Yeah, no, definitely deserved. For sure. 100% deserved. I'm pretty sure it was like 99% white guilt and a little bit of cameras and acting.
Yeah, it's a touch of camera.
With a splash of romance.
Yeah, which is a lot of how this movie felt. And so if you want to feel how we feel,
And all those other feelings.
If you're white.
tune in for the rest of this podcast. Spoilers, we will ruin the movie for you if you haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Other spoilers, history will ruin your life. You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll ruin your movie experience, and history will ruin your life. But welcome to How to Be a Movie Snob.
Thanks for being
Stay
here.
tuned.
We
for the
got
discussion.
movies. Here we go.
Alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
I love you.
I know.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
I see dead people.
Milk was a bad choice.
Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Movie Snob. We're coming for you, filled with energy, super excited
Yeah, that's a lot.
to be talking about
Even
this real depressing movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
it really is.
Hey guys, welcome. Good to see you here.
Hey, nice to be seen.
Yeah, we've been a little shut in, a little winter madness around here. But I am joined with the lovely, it's Showtime Mariah.
It's showtime, guys.
Is that your new catchphrase? It's Showtime.
It's showtime.
Showtime.
Said as deadpan as possible.
It's the showtime.
Or like,
It is time.
or
for the
right,
show.
right before she gets her automatic weapon. It's Showtime.
That'd be a real different podcast, but we could try it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We're still finding ourselves.
We don't use enough props.
Yeah.
I have props,
You,
but
At
they
the
don't
ready?
seem as relevant. Yeah, pretty much. I got a bat here. I've got some.
Oh,
Stop.
jeez. Oh.
you got
Yeah, this is hard. I got a little ray gun.
Oh, that's.
you got a dog.
Was that made by Ray?
Live animal props.
Yeah, it's Ray's gun.
That's Ray's gun. That dog looks so
Like
real.
Ray's famous pizza.
Oh, that's an animator's joke. You see what he did at Toy Story?
Yeah, there's a dog.
Hey,
For
Ray.
those watchers. There's no one sleeping here, but I won't lift her up because she's sleeping.
That would be bad.
Yeah, well, that's.
But I'm here.
Oh,
My name's Pat.
Sorry, hey guys, this is Pat. We're not so,
Prop
yeah,
ready, Pat.
prop man Pat. I like it. That's great. You got a
Yeah.
new name. Animator Pat
I could
is.
get into it.
Pat with the
God.
props.
That's right.
Pat the
I'd
prop
be a
man.
prop comic.
Mad props for the props. You know what I'm saying? Mad
Props to you,
to
Prop
Pat
Pat.
for the props.
Propsy.
Propsy.
And then who are you, other gentlemen?
I feel like you guys should introduce me because I'm always introducing you. So I'm just going to sit here until someone introduces me. My arms crossed.
The guy with the hot mic here is
Hot
Seth.
mic.
Seth.
Yes.
Well,
Beth.
that was fine, I guess. Guys, thanks for
Hey,
that.
Seth.
That was too much.
The guy
I'm
who's
blushing.
always here, Seth.
Stop it, guys. Stop. No, stop. Stop it. Folks, we got a new movie this week. It's a killer. It's a killer movie. Sorry. Not starting out hot here.
Killers.
Yeah. Yes, true. This movie's a little indie film by an unknown actor and unknown director. Okay, it's not. We got Leo.
A lot of nobodies.
We got Leo. We got De Niro, and we got Scorsese. Which
Just to start.
yeah. How
Yeah.
is this? Actually, I don't even know this. Is this? This isn't the first that the three of them have worked together.
It is.
Get out of here!
It's the first all three of them have, yes.
Wow.
Scorsese and
Yeah.
De Niro have worked together, I believe,
A
11
lot.
times. And DiCaprio and Scorsese have worked together, I think, 5 times. But this is the first that the three of them.
Wow. This is like a little homecoming movie. Like,
Yeah.
hey, meet my old favorite actor and meet my new favorite actor.
Yeah.
And Robert De Niro looks mad the entire time about it. He's like, you left me for him? That's how the whole movie feels, actually.
Well, he was annoyed with him
Yeah.
in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Making times.
Folks, this is a period piece that took place in the early 20th century. It is unfortunately very true.
Pretty true.
Based on very true events that are...
Sad.
Yeah. Pretty horrifying.
Tulsa had some rough things going on back then. I mean, Oklahoma had some rough things going on back then. It was really... I
I'd
guess
say the United States did.
it's true. It was like a fake out because it seemed like, hey, Oklahoma, you can not be white and make it and have this cool stuff. And then it's like, oh, just kidding.
If you have a chaperone.
Yeah. Folks, guess what we're talking about? We're talking about The Killers of...
The Flower Moon film.
So many feelings. I'm like exhausted just thinking through everything every time. And it's just this weight, which is more than just the white burden that I carry from watching this movie. But it is just so heavy and it changes the way you look at history. It changes the way you look at how the West was quote unquote won. It's just there's a lot to unpack, folks. There's a lot to unpack here, and
There is.
I'm just gonna go out here and encourage you. This is something that should be watched because of the cultural significance. Much in the same way watching like Lincoln, much in the same way watching Schindler's List. It's one of those movies. So I'm going to start out with that because that's just kind of my feelings right there. But now we're going to go to our hot takes and cold brews because that was not really my hot take. That was just my like, hey, this is kind of an important
Yeah,
piece of
I don't
history.
think that's
You should definitely
No,
watch
not a
it.
hot take. Who wants to start out the hot takes and cold brews? Sponsored by... Oh, no. Still working on that. And we'll be back with you later on that one, folks.
Still space available.
Yep.
I can go because that's my way. I needed more Osage in this movie about the Osage.
Ooh.
Okay, not enough Osage for the Osage movie. That's fair. Although they tried real hard to make it as Osage as possible.
With a lot of
Yeah.
But you still had
consultations.
two of the three main actors being
Non.
very much not Osage. So I hear you there. Okay, that's a good hot take. Okay.
Mine's pretty simple, but I would just have to say this is the easiest, shortest feeling 3-hour, 26-minute movie I've ever seen.
Really?
I had no trouble watching
Yeah, it wasn't boring. It was never really boring.
It was never boring.
No.
I had to take some emotional breaks, but it was never boring. Hot take. White people are horrible in this time of the, world in this region. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a hot take, folks. Is that
It's unapologetically horrible.
just horrible?
Yeah.
Is that a hot take, or is that pretty much just everyone knows that?
I think it's kind of a continuation of, Civil War time and settling and all of it.
Manifest crapsony.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Well, let's start out with the summarizing, which is, good luck.
Yeah.
Take us home.
Okay. Well, this movie takes place in the 1920s.
The Roaring Twenties.
Yes. A post-World War I veteran, Ernest Burkhart, comes rolling into town in Oklahoma and checks in with his uncle, who's kind of the kingpin of the area, known as a friend to the Osage and a benevolent, do-goodin'.
Ugh.
Proclaiming himself to be.
Proclaiming.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. Besties with a lot of them, all sorts. Yeah, it kind of just sets it up for the times. There's oil discovered on Osage land, and the government's going to let them have that money. But you have to either be, if you're a woman, you have to be married to a white guy who can be in charge of that money. And you basically have to have a representative who helps you get your money. And all those guys are skimming it. And there's a lot of cool old cars.
Buicks never look so good.
Yeah. And people start dying. The Osage start dying, and nobody seems to care. No one investigates. People fall ill. People get murdered. You know, things happen, and they're trying to get somebody to do something about it.
Yeah, enter private detective, then enter the... I'm stealing this from Mariah's notes, by the way. But
Yeah. Ernest marries one of these lovely Osage Indian women, Molly, and she gets fed up after pretty much her entire family is taken out and goes to Washington to plead for someone to come investigate. And finally, the FBI comes into play because they're brand new and shiny, and this is their first case.
That's so crazy. That's
At least the
so
Bureau
crazy.
of Investigation.
The Bureau
Not quite
of
the federal Bureau
Yeah.
yet.
The Bureau of
Oh.
Investigation, but also headed up by J. Edgar Hoover, sends his posse out there to solve these crimes, these murders. And they do,
Yeah.
in the end.
Because turns out they weren't really hiding any of it.
No.
Very
No. Well, and these awful white men were really happy to turn on each other in the end. And if they didn't get killed in the process.
Viewers, just a little heads up. Spoilers are coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
The bad guys go to jail or get killed. And it's not quite a happy ending, but some justice was served.
Very little.
A bit.
Very, very little. Yes. This is the killing of the Osage people. There was a book about this originally, and this is something that Scorsese wanted to do for a while.
Scorsese and others.
Yes.
J.J. Abrams, George Clooney.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They both wanted it also.
Dang.
It was a very popular book, Killers of the Flower Moon. So I think it made the rounds. But what's interesting, and I'm curious, like the original version of what this movie was going to be was more how the book was written, the point of view of Tom White, the investigator with the Bureau, played by Jesse Plemons.
But was
It
supposed
was
to
more
be
meant to
played
be
by
that murder mystery. Yeah. Leo
supposed to be
DiCaprio was originally signed up to do that role. And he said, I want to be this scummy other guy. And so they basically refocused the movie around Ernest and William and Molly. Whereas the book is more from the perspective of
the Bureau.
the detective for the Bureau.
Imagine
So it was
how
really weird.
That would have been good too.
That would
I think that would be a great movie.
Yeah.
I would have been very into that.
way more enjoyable, especially
Yes.
for us white viewers.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
There's definitely more of a focus
but
on
the
good
white,
guy, bad guy.
and then it's the white hero again. So I could totally see why they wouldn't do that. But as for like a detective movie, that would have been so fun with Scorsese and yeah. And I assume then De Niro would still have been the bad guy.
I think he was still meant to be the bad
He'd
guy.
been
that would've
signed
been
on to it
great.
since like 2016,
And
think.
then DiCaprio chasing De Niro. How awesome would that have been? But
Would have been cool.
But I totally understand switching the angle because there is no savior in this movie.
No.
There's none.
No, it seems like there's somewhat competent people that come into play eventually. But, that's a low bar.
Yeah.
I mean, Seth, you touched on it. This was a very frustrating movie to watch, both because of the just horrific acts these people were doing to each other, and then the negligence or bystander, reaction to all of it, where no one did anything, and even I found myself very confused because I think they set up De Niro, Hale, and Ernest Burkhart to not be fully criminal, horrible people, right? Like when you first meet them, the movie set us up for these people to maybe be okay. And Hale was talking about how great the Osage were.
Yeah.
And like you should study them. And then you just kind of keep chipping away at that veneer, and it's like, everyone sucks. Like, is that what this movie is? That just everyone sucks?
Yeah. I think the story arc of Ernest, it does start out where you're kind of wondering, like, I felt pretty confident that he really loved Molly the whole time.
Yeah.
But he self-proclaimed loved money, was definitely had a gambling problem.
And wasn't super bright.
And it wasn't super bright.
Maybe a little manipulatable.
Yeah, had loyalty to a bad guy who in the beginning he thought was a great guy. And things got really convoluted and shadier, and showed very quickly that they're both terrible. And then towards the end, you kind of want Ernest to be good again, make the right choice, and he kind of does, but
not 100%.
It's not enough. And I love that Molly was like, "Nope, that's not good enough."
What'd you put in the pills? What'd you give me?
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have.
So, spoiler alert, audience, if you watch this movie, first of all, but there's a point in the movie where Leonardo DiCaprio's character is giving insulin to his wife, who's diabetic, but then putting something else in it. They don't make it
slow her down. It's just going to slow her down a little bit.
So does that character know that really it's poisoning her?
Well, he knows that it's slowing her down, and he knows that there's something more to it, but he's not going to ask. I think
movie version knew something was up. Yeah. I think in theory the real life person maybe didn't.
Yeah.
There's some suspects, like he just thought he was supposed to put all that stuff in. But movie version definitely knew, because one time he put in his own drink, and he got all kind of messed up. Like,
I
don't know. Like he knew that was a frustrating thing. Both him.
He knew he was silencing her. He knew what he was doing was wrong.
Yeah, and even like if you love someone, but you're fine like blowing up her family, and it was really hard to square those two things. So I think the performance of their like love felt very genuine and real. Like I believed it, but all of his acts went against that. And so it became this frustrating dynamic. And then I was like, why? And I'm confused about this in real life. Why were all these Native women marrying these white guys? Like, because it didn't feel in the movie certainly coerced.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
And why were these Osage? Where were all the Osage men? Like, I know several had died, been killed, but not all.
Well, Henry Roan had the melancholy, which is an interesting way to discuss his depression. and she had married him, right? So it happened, but it was odd. I mean, it's such a small community, only 2,000 people, so maybe there's just, it's too small for people to feel like they can have partners or
the
something.
white men just outnumbered them so much that I don't know.
Yeah. But it was just, I found myself frustrated by people's actions, inactions, the law, the state of the world, every bit of the movie, give or take when they're like flirting initially. Mm-hmm. And you're like, that's kind of cute. And like, they have good chemistry. Like it felt real. Mm-hmm. And you're like, gosh, but everything else just is the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the historicity of this.
The histriosity.
There we go. Did you know when we started this movie that the Osage people per capita were the richest people on earth?
Yes.
I had never heard that.
No.
I didn't know that. So where'd you learn that before? Are you just hip to the...
I know everything.
That's fair. I mean, she's not wrong.
I don't know that I knew that they were the richest on earth, but I remember knowing that they were
silly rich.
They got real lucky with that oil being put in that place where the oil was.
And the timing of World War I, where they needed the oil for putting the American machine into the war.
The war machine.
Yeah.
The war machine.
Because otherwise, just buy it from other countries. But then, since it's the war machine, use your own. And so I had no idea they were that rich. And then I was reminded immediately, the Wild West sucked if you were on the wrong side of a guy with a gun. Because no one's coming back. He's not going to get in trouble. Like...
Well, yeah, there was no There was no FBI yet.
There was no
fingerprinting. There's like the investigations were made by shady local sheriffs and deputies and people that basically gave themselves authority over the area.
Well, Hale was the deputy sheriff, right? And then I don't think it came up in the movie, but I read the real sheriff was running a brothel out of the jail. And so it wasn't like the most up and up place.
Very Tombstone like.
So
yes, it did feel very Tombstone. Mm-hmm. And gosh, the lack of nobody was good at doing the crimes they were doing, right? It just the whole system was so corrupt. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And occasionally they're like, make it look like an accident. But then they blew up a house.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Shoot him in the front of the head. They shoot him from a distance in the back of the head and still try and get it ruled as a suicide.
Yeah.
And no.
But it still doesn't matter because who's going to bring down the hammer?
It just never mattered.
And white people are still so entitled, but they were so upset that the Osage people were rich. They called them lazy, entitled, just ridiculous. But they never call the oil barons that. Like it's just seeped. The joke about American racism is like, well, what racism is going to come up in the next 50 years? If we pick a new race to be racist to.
Or are we going to recycle one?
Yeah, exactly right. We'll come back around for this.
Well, it's regional also. Yeah. Are you here? Are you near me and you don't look like me? Then you're my choice.
Do you have
racism.
Something I don't have and I want it? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and they touched, speaking of, this money was passive, so to speak. The Osage did have to be kicked out of Kansas and moved, off their actual land and buy this land. And then, yes, I guess you could say they were lucky that there was a bunch of oil under it. But, they had a rough go until they got, there's a line in Maverick classic movie. Joseph's like,
very
next place we go, we're going to find someplace so god awful, you white people leave us alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's kind of what this was.
I think they thought they had, and then oops.
Then there was all this oil.
Yeah.
That was so true. Oh, that's so awful and true.
But then, nearby in Tulsa, there was the massacre
That was
of
so.
Black Wall Street,
I'm
which I did
so
know more about.
glad they put that in this movie because the time I would not have clicked in my head that oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that happened.
Double whammy.
How far away?
Not that far.
Not
Same
that far
state.
away.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Oklahoma's big, but not Texas big. So, yeah, that was. I'm so glad they did that because then, the Osage people are like, "Oh, is this going to happen? Is this Tulsa? Is Tulsa happening here?"
Yeah. Well, and for the
Yeah,
fact that
it was
news
just slowly.
and the fact that news doesn't travel fast over there, and the fact that it was pretty well known and people had a pretty real fear of it. I mean, it was
Oh yeah. Oh man.
terrifying.
So that was something when I watched this, I was like, "Oh, that's so." All of the garbage that Native Americans have been through, I'm like, "Oh, we have this time where they were the richest people on earth. How cool! How crappy everything's going to get immediately.
How
Not
different this
even
could have been had
a
they been in charge
generation
of their own money."
passes before
Oh, yeah.
everything's stolen again." And
Speaking of that, the system by which they determined who was competent or incompetent was just based off blood. If you were full Osage, you were incompetent to manage your money. Just inherently, if you're native, the more native you are, the more incompetent you are to handle the money we're giving you. It's insane.
here's the thing about
And the
Horrifying.
and then the more excited all the white guys were to have nailed one of those, hey, she's full blood. So
Yeah.
excited.
Gosh. It's just when you listen, Scorsese just makes you feel bad in movies. He
Sure it does.
But he had made a good point in this one.
Yeah.
I felt bad because we should feel bad.
well,
You should be completely horrified.
How
by
many
this.
Scorsese movies? This is only the second Scorsese movie we watched on the podcast because the other one was Raging Bull.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are and the same. I'm just thinking of Scorsese loves these broken figures that just make you feel bad, and they don't resolve. And it's just, which is probably why people love him as a filmmaker, because he doesn't shy away from the reality of the pain and the gross, and the
He lives in the darkness
Yes.
of our.
So okay, I was watching an interview with Leonardo DiCaprio, and it wasn't even an interview. It was just Scorsese and DiCaprio talking about how they prep for movies, which was so fun. If I find it again, I'll try to link it in the description. And Scorsese is like an encyclopedia of movies. Everything before 1980, he's seen it. Right? There's nothing he hasn't seen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
can remember all of them.
Oh, all the actors, all the characters. So, Leonardo DiCaprio was stoked that he introduced Spirited Away to Scorsese. He was stoked he found a movie that was
I got you.
I got you, I got a good movie. But he'll give him movies to kind of get the feel or something else. And the movie he gave to DiCaprio to watch for this was a movie called A Place in the Sun. Mm-hmm. And you just read about this a little bit? Mm-hmm. And it's about the true story of this man who killed his wife so that he could be with another woman. Essentially, not his wife. I can't remember if he killed his wife. Oh yeah, they were married for 3 months, but he got a girl pregnant basically. So they married her, then he killed her, and threw her into the river, and then he married the other one. And the movie, the other woman's Elizabeth Taylor. She's high society, and the other girl is a factory worker. And so the Elizabeth Taylor character, which is a very young Elizabeth Taylor, by the way, very fun to see her. Oh yeah, you were like a heartthrob in your 20s. That was crazy fun. And then all of a sudden, and it's just this awful character who you want to like. He's this good-looking kid who's not likable. And that's the thing with DiCaprio's character in this. You're oh, I can see there's heart behind it, but you never do anything that's redeemable.
Yeah.
You just never do anything that's actually good. I want to like you, but I never can. And that is almost worse. I prefer Django Unchained, Candyland. Give me the evil DiCaprio, but don't give me the sniveling never do right, kind of likable character. He's just so repulsive.
I think that's why he was so drawn to it.
Which is probably why we want to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Oh, it's just so... You're just angry the whole time. You're just so angry.
Well, and I think what added to that likability, and this is where I'll heap some praise on Lily Gladstone, Golden Globe winner, Lily Gladstone.
Yep.
Because you find her so compelling.
Yeah, you're like, well, she
and
must
she
see something.
likes him.
Yes, exactly.
You're
Right.
He gets more likable
Proximity.
just in the shadow of her
Proximity.
love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yes.
This is true in single people out there. If you want to be liked, just get your cute friend who everyone thinks is cool to make them think you're talking to you. Then you become cool by proximity. That's the same thing with Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Cool by proximity.
And of course, he is charming in his weird way, and how he's portraying this guy. He talked about, I wasn't sure. Maybe I should make him kind of dimmer potentially. Even they're trying to find this where on the spectrum to kind of put him as far as intelligence goes.
Good call.
Because she also she outmatches him when they first meet. She is way higher class than him.
Oh yeah,
she's clearly more intelligent.
Smart, yeah,
and so there is this she knows what she's doing here. And then I think where I get frustrated, well, one, I think that does elevate him to some degree, but then you go, why is she
dealing with
doesn't
this?
she see what's happening?
Exactly right.
Yeah. Why does
it
she
gets
only
very
trust
confusing.
him to give her the insulin? She's right to distrust all these other people, I want a certain doctor, or I don't want these guys, or whatever. You can tell she's kind of onto it, but the one person she should not be letting do this,
It reminds me of Memento.
And then,
that scene in Memento where... Is it Memento? Yeah. He always tells the story of the wife who gives him insulin, and they keep
it
giving
was
insulin,
Memento.
and then keeps giving her insulin until she dies, basically, because
he forgets.
He forgets.
Yeah.
It's I want him to It's almost like she's suspending belief, he's going to do something.
I feel like there was denial on both sides.
Exactly
I think that's what lets me get through the movie in a way, is they don't want...
And he doesn't
want to believe he's
him.
actually doing it either.
Yes.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe... He's trying to convince himself that he's not as awful as he is.
Yeah.
It is important to keep the money in the family, even though he's killing the family. It's like...
Oh.
You can't hold these two things, at the same time, but they're trying... And so it's just horrifying. And her suffering through so much of it, both emotionally and physically, good Lord.
The word that kept coming up was cowardice. It was just pure cowardice. And maybe it makes me sick because it reflects every time I've been a coward in my life, there's reflection. You know what I mean? Every time you see, I'm just stand up for the right thing. And I found myself, when have I not stood up for the right thing? Literally, I'm this is pretty good movie making if this character, who I hate, helps me reflect the worst parts of my own life. Oh.
On the times you didn't stand
up for what was supposed to be right, because that's what this is. It's not ever standing up for the right thing. He's just
not
being
completely,
blown.
wavering, and
Brendan Fraser comes out of left wing and just tells him what to do, and you're you're George the Jungle. What am I supposed to do?
He was forceful.
He's forceful.
His 5 minutes in the movie were very forceful.
Mm-hmm.
Same with John Lithgow.
John Lithgow, yeah. Third Rock from the Sun.
Great appearance, and you're you had one day of shooting on this.
John Lithgow wanted to be in a Scorsese movie so bad it was on his bucket list. He was like, I don't care how long I'm in this movie.
Oh, for real?
I'm just so happy to have gotten this done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's great. Instant gravitas. Him and Brendan Fraser. You're oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, they
actually can we?
Steen Sears, by the way. Lithgow's a.
I thought the acting was phenomenal in this movie. I think visually it was really wonderful looking.
Let's
and some
talk
really,
about the visuals. Let's talk about it.
Cool experimental shots.
They changed the color. Do you want? Is this what we're talking about now? Are we talking about like the camera stuff?
Yeah, get into this, Seth.
Okay.
The old-timey. They old-timified it.
I loved it because, well, they used film, which I know less about because I'm like, okay, that sounds expensive. So they're using these old Cineplex cameras, which are dope, and he uses a bunch of other
Which makes
films.
shooting in the dark harder.
But they didn't use those for the dark. They used the Sony Venice in the dark, and what I loved about it is they made the colorist was actually figuring out certain LUTs to replicate the film stock and older film stock of the era. So you'd actually see early in the movie it has a certain film feel. Then as soon as the bomb goes off, they change all the color immediately, and it changes to a different LUT and a different film stock immediately. And so they're using color because first it's like the kind of that not quite Red Shoes-esque, but like that big bright contrast,
orangey red, yeah.
And so they're using this, and it's always anamorphic lenses. I knew that immediately. By the way, folks, if you can't tell if it's an anamorphic lenses, if you see a light in the background and the lights go left to right, like a big lines, that's anamorphic lenses. And anamorphic lenses are lenses that take, it basically is like widening your field of view. If you ever wonder why the view's like so wide, they're using the same sensor, but the lens actually squishes the picture. So if you're looking at it, I should actually film one of these on an anamorphic lens just so you guys can see what it looks like. But it squishes it, so you have to de-squeeze it. And so when you're filming, it looks like everybody's super skinny and thin because it actually squeezes the picture. And then in post, you de-squeeze it to put it out to the correct ratio. And that's why you have super widescreen films. And then you're using the whole sensor. Because the problem is when you're filming, you're either using just part of the sensor, because most sensors are more or less square. So when you see a film that's like, wide, you're like,
how did you do that?
Other than Oppenheimer, which took like three freaking things next to each other. But that's another story altogether. Oppenheimer's a different creature.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, it's almost the end of January. So
we might not get that.
We'll talk about it sometime at least. But it was great because the Sony Venice, I'm a Sony shooter myself. Sony is famous for low light, so they could actually shoot low light shots and not worry about it.
Did you hear that, Sony?
Yeah, Sony kills it in low light. Everyone knows it.
If you want to be a sponsor,
do you want to sponsor?
this is your opportunity.
That's right. Sony, I will support you all day long. So it was great. They use these LUT packs and a LUT is basically a color like you throw it onto whatever you're filming on. Because when you film in digital, you're filming. It almost looks like a grayish thing because it captures more information and more light, but it looks like a flat picture. And so you use what's called a LUT, and you put it on, and then it kind of tells which colors to put in which situation, and then it has more information to deal with. For all my filmmaker friends out there, you know what a LUT is. You use it all the time. But it was cool that they use these specific LUTs and they just throw it on, and that's what they use for night scenes. I was loving it. Loving this
So
scene.
what
is that the dogs in the back getting bored of what I'm talking about? I heard your dogs talk in the back of Patrick's room.
No, I think honestly there's people singing out in my house now.
Oh, that's
so
even
I don't know
better.
what that's about.
That's even better.
But the other film. Oh, go on, Mariah.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, what about the part
Bob.
where King's Ranch is on fire and you're seeing the people through the window with the fire, like it's the shadows and the fire.
So cool.
Like, what did they do, Seth?
I don't know.
How did they do that?
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
Magic.
Do you have an answer? Or tell me.
No, I don't know. I honestly was asking. I
They
figured
probably
you
just shot
figured
it.
it out.
Oh, they probably just shot through. Why, like it doesn't.
It's good.
They shot
Dog
it through
napper.
a window.
I
I don't
assume
know.
so. No,
With people putting out a fire behind it.
Yeah, they probably just had real fire.
It was really happening.
Yeah, they can do that now.
Was that ranch really on fire?
probably
that window?
You know what the budget was for this?
$200 million.
I knew.
A lot.
Money maker Mariah. This is the most expensive R-rated film of all time.
Paramount passed.
Boom.
Apple picked it up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the last one was Irishman, right? So he surpassed his own.
And it was like, what,
Yeah.
190?
R-rated budget?
It was real close.
Yeah.
This is the most
Yeah.
expensive biographical movie of all time.
Yeah.
Winner.
Ching. It's by the way, if you're Paramount, the guts you have, the cojones to say, "No, Scorsese, we're gonna pass."
Yeah. This was also Leonardo DiCaprio's biggest payday too.
What?
$30 million.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Biggest paycheck.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting too. No buddy discount.
What?
Yeah.
Of
You know.
all the movies DiCaprio's done,
Yeah.
this is the biggest payday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess so.
Yeah. I was gonna say the other camera thing, which I think we talked about before we rolled, was for the initial footage.
Oh, yes. Thank you for
that
bringing this up.
looks really old timey. That was shot using a hand cranked camera owned by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was
cool.
all legit, which
So
is what
cool.
looks.
He just said,
legit.
"Hey, I have this.
That was
Can I use it?
I brought it from home, you guys."
can
We
I
need
use
people
it?
to know it's old timey.
Like me, because I was old enough. I probably was almost there.
I
Good
remember
night.
when this massacre happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I made this movie. Is guilt.
That does make me wonder how much
Oh yeah, he was in
Lily
this.
Gladstone got paid.
Oh
Not enough.
Not 30 million.
I'm sure.
yeah.
No.
She almost quit before
No.
she did this. She was almost done with. Like,
She was
acting.
applying.
Yeah, things were drying
she
up.
was applying to a different job when she
Yeah.
got a Gmail saying, "Hey, can you
Zoom
can
call
you
with Martin Scorsese. Yeah.
Yeah, and she didn't have to read. He just knew it was her.
So
That's
nice. Which
crazy.
I agree. That's. I guess we can gush on Lily a little bit more.
Oh,
I
man.
do have some questions about the plot structure or the story structure for you guys, but
Ooh, okay.
she.
Interested?
There was an interesting thing again with their pairing. DiCaprio was able to go a little bit bigger because she was so stoic. There was this kind of wonderful contrast between the two, where he's working hard and she cracks a little smile, and you're like, aha! Like this is they have a good relationship
She's
because she
amused.
just gives
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the tiniest bit, and she went through all of the emotions, but did it. I mean, sometimes she went full grief, but so much was said with so little, which I thought was incredibly impressive.
well, yeah,
Oh.
like their child's funeral, like just
Yeah.
looking at her.
And
during
even the
that.
mystery of it, like when she's in court watching him, and she's got, it's like Mona Lisa-esque, where you're like, what's on your mind? Like I'm drawn in to whatever you're doing, and I don't know what it is, which is maybe part of it, right? Like you can't fully tell what's going on, and when she gives a little bit away, you feel so rewarded because you're paying super close attention. But she's really pulling you in by doing that, right? It's that forcing us to lean in, where Leo was able to be a lot more broad and a bigger character,
Yeah,
which is also compelling. But it was this really nice to have your kind of two leads do that in a really contrasting way. I think made the movie really appealing throughout from a performance perspective.
yeah. Well, and I didn't realize till I read the trivia. Thank you, IMDb. After
Woo.
that, when she was going through the whole illness, bedridden thing, she lost 30 pounds in 2 weeks for that.
Nice.
Like she was
Going vegan.
went vegan, and yeah, that's like that's shocking.
Not a great.
It's like I was like,
Not a
oh, they
great
did a really good
advertisement for a
job.
vegan diet.
No, but it was like I was.
Do you want to look like you're dying from being
Yeah.
poisoned?
But
Go
you're watching
vegan.
her and you're like, oh, they did a good job on the makeup. They made her look really sickly. And like, I did not realize, like, no, she legit lost that much weight in a short amount, and a lot of money too.
Freudian
Yeah.
slip.
Short amount of time.
Yeah, Leo owes her money. Yeah, no. So I was curious with the structure of the movie. We have 2/3 before we get even to law enforcement really showing up,
Oh, for sure.
and then we kind of have a rushed semi-twist to a courtroom bit with, I thought, kind of weird flashbacks. Like we actually see Anna getting killed. As I forget the character's name, but as he's talking about, shooting her in the head and Byron holding her up. And there's definitely some like jarring stuff to me from just a story feel. Like I was in it with the struggle and I wanted law enforcement to come in, but it kind of felt like they came in almost like out of nowhere in a way that felt jarring, not in my favorite way. I don't know if you guys felt that. That was where it didn't feel as, I don't know.
I felt like
something felt weird.
I felt like they should have made a bigger deal about her trip to Washington and who she talked to, because it was definitely foreshadowing, the arrival of the Bureau. But there was such a long gap between what was happening from when she did that to when he actually shows up, that you almost kind of forget that she takes that trip. And I think that's it's a big deal. The fact that she takes that trip, the fact that he lets her take that, like, that was kind of a thing too to me. I'm like, I wondered, they didn't seem to oppose her making that trip. I think maybe they just didn't have faith that she'd get anywhere with it, but they let her go.
Which didn't happen in real life, by the way, but
she never did go.
No.
It was confusing how,
The guy that went and got stabbed outside like the Telegraph, that happened.
Yeah.
That was real. But they didn't all go.
So how did the Bureau find out about it?
They had been, I think, soliciting the government for help for a while. And then I think, which again, I think I kind of want this other movie. I think it's touched on in FBI story. With,
there's like a 50s or 60s.
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. And then there's a 1926 movie based on the story that
interesting.
Was covered first. And I think it was by a Native American person.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, Jimmy Stewart is one of the characters he's sort of being as Tom White in FBI story. So, because this is one of the first cases.
Right.
Anyway, but I think that's one of those things we don't, in the other version of this movie, we would know all about that and what the politics of this being the first case and
why don't we know
how
more,
that happened.
Why didn't I know more about that? Why, and what made J. Edgar Hoover say, this is our first case, let's investigate this? And
I always thought the Charles Lindbergh murder of his son was the first, or his daughter, his baby was the first. Son was the first FBI case. So that was surprising to me because I
think it was an early and notable one,
right?
But
and it was a white family.
Yeah, honestly.
And is that why this was not as publicized?
I don't know this because I didn't research the origins of the FBI, and it's probably been.
Well, that's the movie you wanted. Why didn't you watch it?
Yeah. Well, because that wasn't the movie I got. But I was wondering if this was a lower stakes investigation to take on, right?
Probably right.
If nothing came of it, for them it's status quo anyway, right?
Well, and it was in Oklahoma and you're in Washington.
No one's going to care.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think they were able to use it as look at how efficiently we solved this case and did this. And so it did sell the FBI as a viable thing, but I felt like maybe they picked it because it was lower stakes, and I have no evidence to back that up.
I loved I don't know if it's real, the undercover agent.
Yes!
That was
that was
cool.
awesome too.
And can I tell you the fun fact about that guy?
I would love a fun fact about it.
So Tatanka Means, who played John Wren, the undercover native agent, his father in real life was Chingachgook from Last of the Mohicans.
Yes.
That was the most exciting fact I read. I was like, what? I love Chingachgook. It was
such a great movie.
Exciting for me. But yes, really that's his father in real life.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. Right?
Good stuff.
So this is
stuff.
A weird left turn here. Last of the Mohicans I'll watch over and over again.
Sure.
But I will not watch this over and over again. Not just because it's 3.5 hours, but you just feel so awful.
Not nothing.
Yeah.
Well, Last of the Mohicans is awful,
Yes,
right? Like,
yes.
it is.
But there's
the
awful.
Mohicans were already pretty much gone by the time that movie took
That's
place.
True. So it's probably
and
worse, but it's... Yeah, I don't know.
And they're butchering the white men.
That's
So
probably why. You never see
we weren't
butchering
quite
of
as
white.
like,
Well, And we can say we're Daniel Day-Lewis, the good white guy.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah, because Leonardo DiCaprio
Right? I think there's...
is not the good white
Or
guy.
even,
I don't
even
even think-
Duncan ended up being a good guy.
Yeah.
You
he
know.
gave his life in the end.
Yeah. In his way.
They
In
redeemed
his
a lot of
upper
their
crusty way.
yeah.
sure.
They redeemed a lot of their icky characters.
Did he get burned to death?
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Well,
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis shot him when he
Yeah.
was being burned to death.
Oh, right.
After
He was
they were
getting...
getting out of there.
Yeah. So there's... sorry.
Well-
Well, left turn, guys. Sorry. And back.
Man, we need to rewatch
No,
that.
but I think we, because, and maybe this is all intentional, as of course, I hope it was, the kind of late arrival of the FBI in the story, and like really the lack of focus on them. Like, to me, it's crazy that Jesse Plemons comes in
So late.
to say like 10 lines and stand in the background of a bunch of scenes is pretty insane. Like, he's so good.
He's so
He's
good.
very good. And he did great doing
And-
that, and he stood out just doing that.
Yeah, and fantastic. But I don't think that the understand the work that the agents really did in a way where we go, aha, there's something for us, again, to feel better about, to alleviate some of our white guilt about the rest of this stuff.
Right. Well, and other than
And it was
him,
like
really
withheld from us.
yeah, and other than him, the agent that did all this amazing work was the undercover native. I mean, the movie
Yeah.
focuses on the Osage being the good guys here. The innocents,
Yeah, and it's so hard
Yeah.
because there's no like redemption story. There's no they got them in the end. There's no it's just what is, which is history.
Yeah. Well, and I think even the other version of history I would have been happy with in like story form anyway. That was a crazy sentence. Is if the Osage like stood up for themselves and like,
What fought
you
back?
know, enacted violence. Yeah. And you'd be like, well, yeah, all these white people deserved it.
yeah.
But then, of course, that wouldn't have worked out for the Osage, right?
They've
And they
already
knew
been
this.
moved to Oklahoma. They've already
Yeah, they knew this. The only thing they could do is ask for help repeatedly and not get it. And I think that it just makes everything felt like a victimizing on so many levels.
Well, and I think
It's just kind of brutal. And I think that's Seth. I don't. It's one of those things. It's too hard and sad and frustrating and guilt-inducing to rewatch.
I think it was also interesting to me, and it's been such a long time since I've researched any tribes but that the Osage are not one of the 5 main
peaceful tribes. Yeah.
tribes. There's 5
so-
and they're not one of them.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Trail of Tears, like the
Yeah,
5 first
yeah, yeah.
peaceful chiefs who accepted the terms by the U.S. government. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But they
Cherokee,
seem to be
Choctaw.
the ones that really got the short end, even though they were super wealthy for a minute.
Which they only got because they bought that land. They had to buy it.
Right.
It wasn't granted to them. Which, if it had been, right, if there hadn't been that contract in place, they wouldn't have even gotten that.
Right.
You know, like there was
That's right. The 5 civilized tribes in quotation marks. The
Yeah.
civilized, competent, incompetent.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of language used to dehumanize these people.
It's Cherokees, Chickasaws, Choctaws, Creeks, and Seminoles. So yeah, and then they were not the original 5 civilized tribes. So, have you guys been to Oklahoma, by the way?
No.
So
I have. I saw a bunch of amazing thunderstorms there.
Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
was
for
it was
real.
glorious. Like 2 hours straight of just thunderstorms with no rain. It was awesome.
So
I
we
would love that.
We have Native American reservations here in Oregon and in Washington, of course. But basically, all of Oklahoma is a reservation. The entire state. Like if you look at a map, the entire state is basically a reservation. And so I only knew it by who had the biggest casino, and the Hard Rock Casino was Cherokee. So that was and I had a buddy who was half Sioux, half Choctaw, and so he was kind of like giving me the lay of the land of what Oklahoma looks like, who was certain parts, because the Sioux is actually like the Dakotas, but like the Choctaw, that they're a big tribe in Oklahoma, and just the kind of the politics within the politics, because now we're talking about nations within nations, and so there's just so many things that we don't understand because we don't understand how how even tribes looked at each other at the different stages of being broken down and dehumanized by the American government, the American people, and even here, like we don't even we had such a mess of just eradicating native tribes that most of the quote unquote tribes in Oregon are actually a confederation of tribes because there's not enough people of a single tribe to put together to make an actual tribe. So like for us, the closest one is Grand Ronde, which is a collective of other tribes. But then the irony is that Grand Ronde, people who are in the Grand Ronde confederated tribes are from all over Oregon. And so other confederated tribes in Oregon, they were so spread out because of the wars that the government literally went against them just to move the way for white people, like ordained by the U.S. government. And it's just awful. And so thinking through this one, it's so frustrating because you're like, awesome, they got money. Let's make this happen. Yeah. You're like, let's go Osage. And
well, yeah, the movie starts out and they're just beautifully dressed and cool and still keeping with their culture, but also like high class looking
and the
guys.
Drivers.
Yes.
And they're like the
I was so happy for him.
It was like the guys with the booty calls.
They're traveling the world.
The guys with the arm candy. Like just whatever white guy you can get. He's just for show or whatever else. Like it just was a funny thing. I was like, oh, this is great. And then it's like, just kidding. We're still in 1920s, people.
Yeah, we're gonna screw you over.
It's gonna all go real bad, real quick.
And I think what the movie did so well is give us this glimpse of a reality we could all be into, like the white people that are there really appreciate and respect the Osage. The Osage are doing great, the richest people per capita in the world. And then every minute after, you just kind of keep chipping away at that reality till you realize like, oh, they're basically prisoners, within this community. They have no agency. They're getting slowly picked off. They can't fight back. There's no law. It just kind of, you kind of realize like, oh, none of that was real, or it was real for the shortest amount of time possible. And it's just like, that just sucks. And then the justice you get is also kind of ripped away in the radio play scene. Where Scorsese pulls his Hitchcock. And it's like, the doctors didn't get punished. Byron had a hung jury.
Yeah.
Hale gets out of jail.
Both life sentences were like so short. Like, come on. And
Ernest gets pardoned.
Yeah, and lives with Byron just in a trailer just outside of town. Like, there was really no major consequence.
Yeah, how much justice really was there?
I hope Molly really liked her second husband.
Me too.
I hope he was a good guy.
Mr. Cobb.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then she only lived like 9 years more or something.
Not a lot.
And you're like, what?
Well, she had the diabetes.
Yeah, well, not good to have
Can't
back then.
that.
And she seemed to really like the sugar too. There was that one part where like she actually ate this, this, and this.
Yeah, I did like that.
Yeah, but it was like an
Like, no, I
also
haven't had any sugar.
It was also a humanizing kind of thing for him too. You're like, oh, he cares and he's paying attention to what she eats and knows she's not supposed to. And
I think that was the other thing that was maybe frustrating as a viewer because we're searching for like truth.
Mm-hmm.
With some of the sicknesses, it's like Molly did have diabetes, and they didn't have great treatments for that at the time, and so then there's these family wasting away, and
the
you're like,
wasting illness, was it cancer or was it just them being
it was
slowly poisoned?
They were being poisoned.
But was that the treatment for an actual illness, and they were just getting badly treated for it?
No, my understanding is they were just getting poisoned. By who? I'm not totally sure exactly, but
well, those two doctors.
Anybody saying there was a wasting illness, it was like they were getting poisoned. Either whiskey was poisoned, there was a lot of that, alcohol poisoned.
Oh yeah, the fact that she's like, I'm only going to take food prepared by this one person, and
then even that, like some of it being like a little bit under the table, or a little sly, like we're going to poison you, versus like why they just shot people.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's a shot which is horrifying, the woman with her baby.
Oh yeah.
And the guy pops out the window and shoots her in the head, puts the gun in her hand, and grabs the baby, and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah,
it's
and
the
was
most
that
brazen
her husband?
Violence, I assume. And even that part of the story where like we don't know what's going on.
All we know is
There's
that
just
nobody
horrifying
cared
violence
about
happening.
it. Nobody cared.
Ugh. It's brutal. It was brutal.
Okay, questions. Why was De Niro and Gladwell nominated, but not Leonardo?
A lot of good performances? Question mark.
Yeah, I don't know.
De Niro. I mean, De Niro
Gladstone.
was great, but he. I don't know. He didn't blow me away.
I think because he's 80.
Yeah,
He's not going to get
the
a
real
lot.
character.
Was 50,
The real person's 45
40,
or something.
He's our age.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like Leo DiCaprio should have played him.
Yeah.
And then
Got like
somebody who was like 30 or something.
Timothy
should have played.
Chalamet should have played.
Yeah, in the story, she's 12 years older than he is, but in this, she was
probably closer in actual age. Yeah.
Yeah, Leo did not look young in this, just for the record.
No, but everybody was kind of weathered back then anyway, right?
Yeah, he really. I think he went, full actor.
Yeah.
The teeth. Oh.
Yeah, the teeth. He kind of had a hung jaw.
Yeah, he kind of had a sling blade. He had a sling blade look about him.
How'd you feel about the accent?
I was into it.
Sure.
Okay.
It didn't bother me.
It bugged me.
I don't know what he should sound like.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So I was like, because I just felt like in line with the character. He seemed like kind of an idiot who was in over his head, who loved his family, parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't know how to love.
And it all kind of worked for me.
He didn't know how to love.
He didn't know how to love.
Oh, no.
He didn't.
He loved in all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why he didn't get nominated, to be honest.
He could
I'd
have.
have to look at who else was nominated. But I thought he was great.
I think he did a decent job.
I bet he'll appreciate that comment.
I think he just,
Yeah,
wasn't.
Leo,
he just
you
wasn't,
could have been nominated.
He just wasn't top 5. I think that's maybe the problem.
He's not Paul Giamatti this year. There we go.
Or what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti, the guy from Saltburn.
Killian.
Oh, Killian Murphy.
Yeah, Barry Kagan. Yeah, I mean, there's
I
just
did
great
watch
performances.
Saltburn, by the way.
You did or didn't?
Yes.
Oh.
Yesterday.
Is it? How was it? Okay. Okay. I hear you see a lot.
You do.
Rated R.
Yeah.
You do.
That's my understanding.
It's more than R.
And
in
then
parts.
some. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I hear.
Okay.
I digress.
Well,
sorry.
Poor things in Saltburn might
Side
be in the
note.
war for most inappropriate.
Oh yeah, that's my understanding of those. I don't know enough. That's the other thing I've just been really pleased, and I recommend anyone listening, don't go into any of these movies knowing anything.
No, it's so
It's
fun
way
to
more
just.
interesting to
I
know
agree.
so little.
It's so fun to be surprised, or disturbing,
Yeah.
or whatever. But not
whatever
knowing
it is,
is
it's
good.
more.
Not knowing is good.
Have you ever watched old previews
Sure,
where they're like a 5-minute preview
absolutely.
where they just tell you the entire story?
Yeah.
What was going on? Oh, sometimes longer. Sometimes 7 minutes. Of a
Sometimes
I
preview.
wonder if there were
way
like
too much.
preview awards.
They should, because they've gotten way better in not revealing things.
Well, and they
now.
always had the
I do and they
narrator
don't.
with like the very recognizable voice.
In a world.
This Christmas,
Ryan Reynolds making fun of this guy.
things get crazy. But yeah. I feel like that was just more of a somebody had that job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it takes more. People are harder to maybe convince now to just see something because it exists, and
Well-
so it's like no, look at all this stuff that's in it.
And I think
And then it
also
gives away too much.
in the land of streaming too, people don't have to try as hard to get people into theaters. And I think the pandemic kind of like got rid of that whole enticing people, and hopefully they'll start doing it better in the future, because I would like to be enticed into the theater again.
The most interesting previews I remember, now it's because I was younger, so these are the most enticing, was of course Jurassic Park 1. But that actually delivered. But the other one was Godzilla with Matthew Broderick. The previews were amazing. So then when I went to the theater,
Well, they had the Taco Bell Chihuahua in them.
I was quite angry at the product which I had seen before me, which did not reflect the great editing that was put into the preview.
Yeah. You know, a really good one that I haven't seen the movie yet, but I saw a really good preview very recently, was also, now Godzilla made me think of it, is the Kurt Russell, the new
Monarch
monster
Legacy of
movie.
Monsters.
Yes. That preview made me go, I kind of want to see that. Like, I'm not normally...
It's a good show.
Is it?
Yeah, I like that show.
Did the preview,
We
like,
should have like a best preview.
get you to watch it?
Best preview, worst movie.
No, I just knew it existed. I just knew it existed, and I'm like, Kurt Russell, Wyatt Russell. All right,
I'm down.
Yeah, Wyatt Russell's great.
and yeah, it's entertaining.
Good.
Certainly, especially if you like any of the monster stuff.
I'm gonna watch it. I
They're
don't
good.
love all the monster stuff, but I will watch it.
Oh yeah,
You only
and the
love all of it.
monster stuff is getting better. I feel like it was at kind of a lull there for like the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's
But it's
probably why I
starting to
didn't
pick
really
up.
care.
Like it's starting to get I heard Godzilla -1 +1. What is it?
-1.
Minus
People
one.
love. I haven't seen that one.
Dumb
but I've
title,
heard very
but
good things
I
about
hear
it.
it's good.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
But
It's
now
got
I'm
a
interested.
classic Tojo vibe, is my understanding, but it's just good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know,
All right.
love me some
Maybe it's coming back,
some
guys.
monsters.
Yeah, who knows? Okay, guys.
So anyway,
Let's. So, any other fun facts or things that you guys loved about this movie? That was.
I don't know,
give
you
a
took
list.
my fun
I did
facts.
take your fun facts list. It was fascinating. I
It's
enjoyed it.
great. I love just reading that list.
Yeah,
It's entertaining.
I mean,
to
let's
me.
be real. Like, right now, Martin Scorsese could call anyone in Hollywood, and they would.
I
say
mean,
yes. He's just like, hey, I'm still Martin Scorsese, and John Lithgow's like, I will bark like a dog if you want me to,
Yeah.
but I will
Yeah.
kill it when I bark like a dog
That's
because
right.
I'm John freaking Lithgow.
I think I have a couple more fun facts.
Okay,
Oh.
go, baby, go.
I've got one.
So the scene where they're in the cab and Leonardo DiCaprio mentions, that he's a handsome devil. Apparently, it was sort of workshopped by he and Lily Gladstone. Not in the script.
Ooh, nice. That's
As
good.
Mariah mentioned or hinted at, Leo DiCaprio also likes to improv.
And De Niro does
every-
not like that he did that.
Really?
No.
And every now and again, De
gets
Niro
so
and Scorsese
annoyed.
would be like, "You don't need to add more words."
I liked that fact.
That's why him and Wolf of Wall Street. Who's he starting with? What's his name?
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill, because Jonah Hill never does his lines right ever. That's why they work so well together. Because neither one of them does
Yeah.
their lines.
Yeah, because they're like, let's just make this up right now.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
And maybe as punishment for that, in the whipping paddle scene,
yes.
That was
which
my
was also
that was my fact.
fabricated. Well, I'll give. All
No,
right,
go ahead. No,
you go with it.
Keep
Merle.
going. Run with it.
I
I
was gonna
just wanted to
say,
make sure it was said.
Yeah, De Niro apparently hit as hard as he could, and DiCaprio had some padding, but he hit it so hard he broke one of the paddles in the shot, and he like quickly hides it behind his back, and then they swap it out for like an unbroken one. But like he was going full swing.
It was real. It was real.
You take Martin Scorsese from me? Boom!
You make
Yeah.
up any more words?
You
this
think
is
you're
what's
so
gonna
cute?
happen.
Making up your own lines?
Yeah.
Boom!
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Quit getting creative, man.
You think you are the next
Yeah.
best actor of all time?
I
Bam!
did like
I did Heat.
Which, maybe he is? Question mark. I do. He's one of those people on the timeline that is my association with Leo DiCaprio. His hit for me was Titanic, just because all the girls of my generation were so obsessed with him that I just didn't like him because I was jealous. And then it was like everything after, you're like, oh, you're actually quite good. Catch Me If You Can kind of got me back on track with him.
he was really good in
And
the
then Gangs in
Basketball
New York
Diaries before Titanic too.
Yeah, I think that was too cool for me
What's
to watch.
Eating
at the
Gilbert
time.
Grape, people?
What's Eating Gilbert
Come
Grape?
on.
Yeah,
Growing Pains.
he went full.
Growing Pains, guys.
Yeah,
That's true.
I mean, he's great. But again, Titanic was my dip, and everything
Oh,
since
for
I'm like,
sure.
he is quite
That's-
good.
that's-
He's probably good in that.
He's great. He's great in it.
Yeah.
The beach was maybe weird.
Oh
But
yeah.
also
Super
fine.
weird. Yeah.
Shutter Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
That's hey, there we go.
Oh yeah, going back to my hot take, I want to just dig into. I was so compelled by Lily Gladstone. I just wanted more of her perspective.
Give her the Oscar, you guys. Come on.
Really?
And then-
oh, you haven't seen Poor
No,
Things yet.
I
okay.
haven't.
I was
So
like,
there
no.
might-
Yeah, we gotta see everybody.
Okay.
They
She's
literally
wonderful.
are on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Sure.
Gladstone is like her subtleness is what, like you guys said, makes her role. Meanwhile,
Emma Stone's going
Poor
crazy and poor
Yeah,
things.
I can't wait to see that too.
I
I might have to change my mind, but right now,
don't
give her the
bring
Oscar.
your mom. That's all I'm saying. Don't bring your
won't.
mom.
I guess I'm going by myself.
Yeah, I don't think I'll go again.
The other stuff I was so intrigued by was like when Lily Q, Molly's mom, is dying, and there's stuff with the owl.
Lizzie Q.
Or Lizzie Q, thank you. I rewrote that because I kept thinking Lily. Lily Gladstone, Lizzie Q. Yeah. When she sees the owl come in as this like omen, and then even seeing like her ancestors when she passed.
Very cool.
There's just some wonderful
And the end.
imagery.
The last shot of the movie.
We haven't even talked about the last shot of the
Come
movie.
on.
We haven't even talked about
But
it.
I was so drawn to that stuff. Like, what's
Yeah.
the deal? Like, it's so fascinating.
I wish there were more. There was more
Yeah.
of it. In the 3 hours and 26 minutes,
Yeah,
could you not
I
have
agree.
found us some more Osage cultural
I also really
cool
do.
stuff?
I agree with that. Good
I really
call,
do love
Mariah.
those contrasting shots of Lizzie seeming so at peace and happy to pass, and then you cut to reality and everyone's crying.
Yeah.
Like that jarring contrast is like so appealing to me.
And the wailing outside after,
Oh,
like it
wailing.
was so,
My heart hurts just remembering that scene.
Yeah. There's a shot
how healthy
in
is that though? How healthy is that?
Oh, the wailing?
Yes.
Oh, I bet it's good for you. You got to get a good
I'm
cry
gonna
in.
start doing that.
You should do it in the podcast when we start.
I think it's good.
No,
when
I
the tragedy
mean
thing
someone's gonna
happens.
need to go or something.
Yeah, but I think you gotta go full emotion.
Yeah.
Get it
I
out.
agree. Which is so funny because you won't even kiss your kids. I mean, come on,
That's
Pat.
true.
Jeez
Well, no,
Louise.
but I'm pro whale. You know,
I mean, we all know I am. I'm the big crybaby in the family, but
Yeah, that's true.
not appropriately. I'm going to start doing it
No.
appropriately.
Inappropriate's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys were down for the last, like the radio play ending. You loved that or hated that? How did you feel about that?
I liked it.
I'm in the middle.
It's fine.
I appreciated what it was trying to do, even
was
though I
the
don't know that I
end-
got it at the moment.
It was the end overhead.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I wish it. I wish it started with that and ended with that,
Yeah.
and then used some of the cutaways from like the Osage.
They did start with Scorsese narrating,
Yes, which is
so
close.
there was some continuity, but it would have been cooler if it started with that.
And
I-
you go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say, it's a lot to ask the audience, and I'm going to speak for my fellow dumb audience members, to be
Ooh,
like,
I'm here.
what is,
Got you.
this is sort of conveying that we're all complicit in the,
Right.
not quite enjoyment, but like
Right.
viewing this story as entertainment,
Right.
Right.
which is why he put himself in there. Like,
Right.
I need to
Because
own
the
some of
tone, he
this.
wanted the tone to change while he was talking and just didn't want to try and get somebody else to do what he
Yeah.
knew he needed to do.
Take
I like that
But
he
it's also
did it.
pretty. Yeah, it's a big swing to just go to that, and you're like,
Yeah.
what now? What's going on? What do you?
Yeah.
I'm just
Why am I
gonna-
seeing it like this?
I'm going to do it myself, you guys. Here I go.
Oh, what? Well, you know what? Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, you guys don't know how to act. Let me just do it myself.
Yeah, I can do it.
You go take
And he
your
was-
paddle.
he was
This is
good.
my scene.
Hey, Jack White, come join me up here.
That's right.
Yeah,
Pete.
I
Jack-
did actually really. I am charmed by radio play productions, so there was a lot of.
Yeah,
I did just enjoy them doing all the sound effects live, and just the storytelling style of it was
Yeah.
very appealing to me.
Okay.
So I just liked it for
Yeah,
that.
it
but
just didn't.
Next week, guys,
It didn't
radio
fit.
play production of how to. No, it sounds too much
It didn't
work.
fit easily. There was.
No,
it was kind of like,
Yeah,
why
that
is
was
this
a jarring.
That was a
shift.
rough
cut
cut.
and
Yeah,
pasted into
I agree.
this? I like the
Because it could have been title cards, right? Which
Sure.
I think would have been more classic, and you've been like,
Yeah.
oh no, he got out.
Can we also talk about the fact that there wasn't subtitles in a lot of the Osage?
Oh yeah, I
the
kind of like
language.
that.
I
Actually.
liked that
Yeah,
he did
I
that
like
because you really did get what they were saying. The gist. You get the gist.
I just want to talk
Yeah.
about my favorite character in the movie, which was her sister,
Anna.
wielding the gun, kicking ass, taking names.
I did like Anna. Even when
She
she was
was-
about to die. You guys are going to kill me. You're going to kill me.
Oh, I loved her
And they
so
did.
much.
Yeah, her just drawing the gun at any
Yeah.
She's
issue.
good.
It was pretty great. Anyways, I just want to throw that out there.
No, she was
really
fun.
Enjoyed that.
I liked her.
I mean,
She was
she was
great.
tragic.
She
Clearly
was.
an alcoholic with a lot of problems, but
100%. But that was.
I did
She was
enjoy her.
just so
She was the
big.
fun
Strength.
sister, though. She was the fun
and,
sister.
and it was finally a different picture of a Native American who was the crazy one. Because
Yeah.
you always have like, this is.
I was reminded of.
Forgive me if I think about this, but there was like the wise Native Americans. It's like
Yes.
a new.
Yeah, peace at the world.
Come on,
and
man. Let them be.
They know more than
let
we
them
know.
be whatever they want to be.
I
Like,
was
why they
reminded
gotta
of
be,
A
huh?
River Runs Through It
Ooh, nice.
with her. She definitely gave me that vibe of the,
Oh, nice throwback.
It's a little wild.
yeah.
Nice, I like that. I like that.
Well, which I kind of liked with Henry Roan's character, talking about the melancholy.
Yeah.
It was like, and I think what was really sad about that was he was trying to advocate for himself.
Uh-huh.
And people were just like, nah,
Have some whiskey.
yeah, just drink. And then, he go beat up that dude who was sleeping with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
But it was just like, I don't know, all that just made it so much more tragic. Like,
Well, how
no
many,
one was helping these people.
And how many insurance policies did he have?
Sorry.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my gosh. Sorry.
The
guys.
fire insurance thing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
He can't die
The
till
insurance
after
man.
January 1st.
That was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It's like, I just sold him a fire insurance on that last month. Well, good luck with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
So okay, we gotta wrap this up. What did we think of it? What's our reviews
this definitely
of Killers
belongs
of the Flower Moon?
in the Best Picture nomination. It definitely does. The work, the color, the acting,
Yeah.
the
all
historicalness of it. I mean,
Historiosity.
it's sad that, like, enjoyment wise, I wish they made it the other way. But
Oh yeah, because that's
But-
our easy way out.
but as a human, I'm glad they did it in this painful way to, like, kind of push it more in your face. So in that way, yeah, I guess this is better for humankind the way it was done.
Yeah, I like the way it was done. I think they could definitely make a different movie too that goes on the other side. You know, they did Letters from Iwo Jima, and they did.
That's true.
And Flags of Our
Yeah,
Fathers.
that's right. Why couldn't you do that? But
Which, let's not sleep on how cool that was as an idea.
yes,
Yeah.
I
agreed.
think Letters was a better movie, but like, what
Yeah.
a cool
Why wouldn't?
buddy.
Why couldn't
or,
you give
not
people
buddy.
the opportunity to see both ways? But yeah,
Yeah,
I think
great.
I think it definitely deserves a Best Picture nom. I definitely think Lily deserves Best Actress nom.
De Niro?
It was beautiful.
Okay.
He was solid. He was solid De Niro. I feel
He
like
did not let you down.
he didn't.
but-
he was icky. I hated him in it.
Yeah.
But
Honestly,
But also, I think where I do give him props is he did convince me a few times that he was doing this for other people.
sure.
Right until it went full villain,
Yeah.
which I think maybe the first hour you weren't totally sure he was full villain.
I do like that they discussed like the connection with Goodfellas, with the whole testifying in
The paddle.
court kind of
Yeah.
thing, like
Oh,
where
yeah.
they were like,
Yeah.
That man.
this is a nod to that. Like that was
Also,
all
that
cool.
was the only whip pan in the whole movie,
yeah.
No way.
and you're like, when else? There's just
great.
the one. Did you see the man in the court? Whack.
That's
Like,
so
what?
good.
Yeah, there was a lot of great.
Scorsese is a little feisty with his shots.
Okay,
There
Mariah,
was a lot of good stuff.
you have not seen Oppenheimer. You've not seen Poor Things.
Correct.
What, without those two movies, what's your best picture right now? Is it Barbie?
But this is
Barbie's a good choice, by the way.
yeah. I loved Barbie.
Yeah.
Every time I watched it, all 2 times I've cried.
I
Patrick
just
was a
rewatched
witness.
Barbie last weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez,
Pat
then-
was.
yeah, that's got to be
As-
number one then.
As your nieces
Mocked me.
just pummeling you
Yeah.
with insults
I
about
don't
crying
care. I
because
don't
you
care.
feel it's
Yeah, that's a pretty.
I loved it.
Yeah. Then what compares to
on.
that? Out.
I don't know. I guess the snobbiness in me says this was better.
Okay. What about
I also love the darkness.
the Holdovers? How's that?
She
better?
does.
I
this
liked
better?
the holdovers. I don't think it beats this,
Really? Okay.
but it was good.
Because this has won a couple awards for Best Picture. I don't remember the awards, but it's won one at least.
It has had a lot of nominations. I didn't
Yes.
even print those pages out because
Right, 'cause
there
it's
was many,
Ridiculous.
many.
And Gladwell did win for Best Supporting Actress. Gladstone, thank you.
She got the Globe.
She got the Globe. She didn't get the Critics' Choice Award.
Oh,
That went to Emma Stone. Poor Things. just
I
so you
like
know.
that, and then it'll be a cool competition
Yeah.
for the
Mm,
Oscar.
Who
I'm
knows?
very interested. Very
It's not
interested in
a
that.
for sure
'Cause
either way.
it really is, in my opinion, those two roles between Poor Things, Emma Stone, and between.
Pat, did you watch Poor Things?
I have not seen Poor Things yet,
Okay,
But you did see
nor
Oppenheimer.
Saltburn,
so
but I did see
yeah, I
Oppenheimer.
haven't seen Salt. Saltburn.
Don't
yet
watch
either.
Saltburn with your kids.
Yeah, don't watch it with.
I was not going to watch any of these with my kids besides Barbie.
Yeah,
Well,
there's literally nothing I can watch with my
seriously,
kids. Maybe
Yeah.
Spider-Man. That's the only one of everything else. And maybe The Boy and the Heron. That's the other two you could watch.
I was
You can't
watching
watch
before
that
we
yet.
filmed the round table of the sort of best actresses,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
great. I always recommend those.
Yeah. Oh, they're so fun, and it's fun to see the respect they have with each other. I'm still for best supporting actor. I know RDJ is probably going to win, but I really still want Morton to win from May December. I still think
Melton.
he's my favorite for supporting
Tom
actor.
Melton.
Tom Melton, thank
Is
you.
that his name?
Yeah,
Tom? Charles?
Charles.
Come on, guys. Come on. That's
Char-
3 weeks
Isn't
ago.
it Charles Melton?
Well, it's Melton.
We know
That
it's
I
Melton.
do know for sure.
Charles.
I follow her
Charles.
Instagram. I swear. I love you, buddy.
Charles in charge.
Chuck.
Charles Melton. Yeah, I still want him to win Best Supporting Actor, but that's just me. Although Robert Downey Jr. does have the best speeches, so maybe we should go for RDJ for entertainment-wise. Yeah. So right now, I mean, what's your Pat? What about you? You haven't seen Poor Things yet, but you have seen Holdovers.
No. Yeah.
You've seen Oppenheimer, right?
Yep. It's hard for me to not just be overtaken by the power of a Nolan film. So I probably lean Oppenheimer.
Right.
But I think this is a more challenging film to make. I think Oppenheimer in a lot of ways is more by the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know what it needs to be, and it delivers on that, which is amazing.
Sure.
But this is like a really challenging story to tell, and I think it was told really well, and I have my issues with it. But like as a piece of art, it is incredibly compelling.
I agree.
Yeah. I would also throw out there that supporting actor, actress. I don't know if Jacob Elordi, was he nominated from Saltburn? The really pretty guy who's on SNL. Who's on SNL this week.
I don't know.
Anyway, and
you mean-
Rosamund Pike.
you mean 2 weeks
She
ago?
did a great job.
2 weeks ago.
Rosamund Pike has been nominated.
I really liked her. She did a great job. I nominate her
Huh. Okay.
for supporting.
I'm a big fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Best Picture, though, you've kind of squared the issue, Mariah.
I mean, right now, Killers of the Flower Moon probably.
Okay.
But I know that I will probably. I know one of the couple that are coming up that I want to watch will probably beat it.
That's Poor Things and Oppenheimer, in case you guys were not listening at home.
Correct. And Past Lives. I haven't seen Past Lives
Oh,
yet.
I haven't seen Past Lives yet either. I heard that's incredible, too. So, yeah, guys, we got work to do. We're not full movie
We're
snobs.
not even
I know.
ready. you
We're
guys.
working on
So
it,
much
guys.
work.
When are
We're
the
working on it.
Oscars?
In February sometime.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, we're good. We'll be fine.
TikTok.
Was it February or March? Anyways, we'll figure it out. I think we got time.
Well, these won't all come out before then anyway, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
Well, it's fine. The Oscars are dumb because they don't even let us watch the movies until it's already over. So,
At least close.
Don't they know we have a podcast?
Yeah.
We can only do these one at
Maybe
one
we could let
time.
them. Maybe we could let them know, and they'll let us screen the movies early.
All the
Folks,
screeners, yeah. There you
we're
go.
going to be screeners
People
soon.
do
That's
that
the
on
goal.
podcasts,
It
guys.
is. It's the goal. Our goal is to be screeners so we can get it first thing, so we can pretend like we know what we're talking about.
Dax Shepard gets to watch these early. Why not us?
He's an actor.
He's a podcaster.
He's got a card that says, I'm part of the guild.
Well,
He's part of the
Yeah.
Stonecutters. I've seen that Simpsons episode. That's why they made, Gutenberg a
right.
star. Okay.
okay.
All right, guys. Reviews time, and then we're out. I'll
Oh,
start
boy.
us off. Flower Moon is a painfully, historically cutting film that questions humanity, but is a beautiful depiction of what life can look like. But gosh darn it, do you hate Leonardo DiCaprio's character? That was not clean, but that's how I felt.
I'm just going to do the edited version.
Okay.
The grabber. Come for the acting, stay for the white guilt.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's going to be the teaser this week, folks. Oh, jeez.
a heartwarming love story taking place in the roaring 20s in the beginning of the United States. Not.
Yeah.
Exclamation point.
Osage Massacre.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is this the
None of
Notebook?
those
Oh
things.
no, this is
Yeah,
Killers
no.
of Flower Moon.
No, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
the
Yeah,
opposite.
star-crossed lovers,
Great Gatsby-esque.
Yes.
Great Gatsby
capitalism
wealth.
at its finest.
Here's the crazy
Oh, wait.
thing. We got Leonardo DiCaprio, who's not only played Great Gatsby, of course, but he's also played J. Edgar Hoover.
Indeed.
It's very awkward. He's kind of playing all around this era.
Who haven't you
Oh,
played?
by the way, he's also a film mogul
And, The
in The
Aviator.
Aviator. Oh my gosh.
true.
Get out of the 20s, Leonardo. Pick a
He
new
fits.
era.
He
Jeez.
sits, he fits.
He's a cat. Meow. Leonardo Meowio.
All right.
That
That means we have
edit.
crossed the line. We got to get out
Oh,
of here.
sure. Cat jokes is where Pat crosses the line? That's ridiculous. That's
Yeah, I'm a dog
ridiculous.
guy.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right.
it's a must watch, guys.
If you've got 17
Oh,
hours,
yeah.
if you got 17 hours, you should watch this, guys.
And it's not going to be hard. It's not Barry Lyndon. You can get through this 3 hours.
You know what's funny? I wonder if we watched Barry Lyndon now, because that was one of the movies that
It's the first. Second.
it's the first.
It was a doozy. It was early.
It was a
No, the first was Citizen Kane. The
Yeah.
second was Barry Lyndon.
yeah.
That's one of the movies that Scorsese made Leonardo DiCaprio watch for prepping for some of his roles as well.
Yeah, I
Anyways.
regret it.
Yeah, well, we can watch it again.
Maybe we'll try again
right.
and make Patrick suffer through with us.
Just make,
Yeah, that's right. I've seen clips. I reference it in my own work, but I haven't watched the whole thing.
There we
Okay.
go. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We appreciate your time. This is Oscar season, folks. We're going through movie by movie. We're getting closer and closer to that
We're gonna start
little
wearing formals. for
gold
this,
statue.
too.
That's right. Suit and tie.
Time to dress up.
Tuxedo
guys.
shirts, maybe.
Pat will, yeah. If Pat wears the pants, we'll be doing real good here, folks.
Yeah.
Let's be real. This is Seth and
Mariah.
That.
And we are How to Be a Movie Snob. Check out all your favorite podcast locations. Sorry, Google Podcast. Bye. It's now YouTube Music.
So like and subscribe.
But like and subscribe. And we got a new show every week, every Monday. We got new content for you. Getting prepped for Oscar season. See you guys next week. And keep watching movies. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.